Hello, this is Mickeas Villeda. In this episode, I'm going to interview an adult family member who is my sister. Question 1. What is your name in relation to me?
Alright, well, my name is Mickeas Villeda, and I am Mickeas' sister.
Second question. When and where were you born?
I was born in Dallas, Texas, good old Texas, and I was born April 11th.
What is your first childhood memory?
Oh, my childhood memories. Let's see. Well, I remember growing up watching on TV, going a lot to parks, and hanging out with a lot of the neighbor kids who were in the neighborhood, riding bikes in the alleyways, hanging out with friends. It's very different because back then we didn't really have our phones or internet and all that stuff. We just hung out and raced each other on our bikes and did a lot of shenanigans. I got in trouble a lot, but it was fun.
What was school like for you?
School at that time was a little bit different. So it was we didn't, again, the thing with the phones is so different because I know nowadays kids communicate and text friends maybe during school, but back then we didn't have that. So we would pass notes, we would have a lot of conversations and hang out at school and stuff, but it was a good time. It was a really good time to be at school. I always like hanging out with friends.
Do you have a technical diploma or degree?
I have a bachelor's degree in Spanish and in English.
Describe your first job.
My first job was a professor's assistant in the university. So the professor would teach the topic, and I would work with students to help study for their quizzes and tests so they would do very well. So that was my first job.
Were there tasks that you hated doing when you were a child?
Tasks that I hated doing when I was a child. I think one of the things I didn't like to do, I believe you're talking about chores. And so I did not like cleaning the restroom. So sometimes they say, hey, you need to clean the restroom, and I did not like cleaning the restroom, but I did like to help around the house and stuff like that, especially cleaning my room. I really did like doing that because sometimes I would rearrange my bedroom to make it look completely different. So that was.
What types of books do you like to read?
At a younger age, I liked reading mystery books. I also like reading about Greek mythology. So you probably have heard of the Rick Riordan books, like Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I like reading that series. I also read a lot of so there was the Percy Jackson series, as well as the series of Unfortunate Events. That was the first series I really started getting into. All those, Maximum Ride, that was the stuff that I would read. But my favorite was probably Percy Jackson.
Can you tell me a story or a memory about your brothers and sisters?
Brothers and sisters. So I only have brothers. I'm the only girl in my family. And growing up, let's see. So I do remember before we lived here in Ferris, we lived in Garland, and with your older brother, Eli, we would play kickball in the front yard of the house. And so Dad would bring the kickball we were using, and we would play kickball together. You were still in the little baby carriage. You're a little baby, so you may not remember that, but it was really fun to play kickball with Dad and stuff. Eli would do his best. He was still young, but it was a good time. And then later on, when you were older, one of my favorite memories was when all three of us would play video games together. That was pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to a child or grandchild?
Is there a specific topic for the advice?
Whatever.
Or just whatever? Okay. Really, really value the time that you have with your parents. Really pay attention to what they're saying. I know that when you're young and you hear stuff that they tell you, you feel like you might be getting in trouble or that they want to spoil your fun. But as you get older, you realize that everything they say is to help you. And your parents, like our parents, want the best for us. They really desire the best for you. And the older you get, the more you realize how right they are. Like they're right. And I guess now that I'm older, I realize that Mom and Dad are getting older. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I really value everything they say, and I want to spend as much time as I can with them.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. What were your favorite toys?
My hit toys. Okay. So that was something that I loved to do when I was younger. I would like to play with toys. So back then we used to have this rug that had like the design of like a city and roads and buildings on it, and so we had like 100 Hot Wheels cars, and it was really fun to play with the cars there. Something about me was I always made these stories, and so I like to make something happen, like, oh, one of these cars have a birthday and they're all going to go to the park or to the beach or something. And then another thing that I would play a lot with was Legos and Polly Pocket dolls. Do you know what Polly Pocket dolls are?
I've heard of them.
Okay, so they're not like Barbies. I didn't like playing with Barbies. It was weird. They were too big, I think, but the Polly Pockets were really tiny. So it was that, and then Littlest Pet Shop. Do you know what Littlest Pet Shop is?
No.
It's like, it's a whole bunch of little animal toys. And so you could collect them. It would be like a little fox or a little cat or a little dog or a little monkey and stuff. But I would play a lot of Littlest Pet Shop, little Polly Pocket dolls, and the Littlest Pet Shop, they had a toy you can play with that was a digital pet. Oh. And so it was like a keychain type thing, so you can put it on your backpack or on your bag or whatever, and you would have to feed it and give it water and give it a walk, but it was on a little screen. And so that was pretty fun. That was probably like the first little like electronic toy thing that I first had before like video games were really a big deal. But yeah, that was some of my favorite toys to play with.
What were your favorite games to play?
Oh, okay. So games, I guess like outside would be like kickball and racing, like on our bikes and stuff. So that was really fun. I still have a scar on my knee from when I fell. So there's that. In terms of board games, I really enjoyed Battleship.
Ooh.
That one was really fun to play. Get really competitive on that. And just classics would be, at that age, would be like hide and seek. And what was really fun is there were about 6 to 8, maybe 10 kids in that neighborhood. And we would be in that whole block. And everything was open territory. So we could be in my backyard, in the alley, or in any anybody's backyard basically was free territory. So whenever we played tag or hide and go seek or whatever, you can hide in any house.
Wow.
Like anywhere. So we knew that when we were playing hide and seek, it was going to take a long time. So it was pretty fun because it was just anywhere. You could be at anybody's house, but it was off limit to go inside of your house.
Alright.
That wouldn't be fair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite subject at school and why?
Okay, so in elementary school, my favorite subject was math. So I really did enjoy math. I thought it was fun. I guess I just really had really good teachers who made it really interesting. But once I started heading to middle school, I liked English more. So, because I think what started getting interesting, we started reading a bit more interesting books and stuff. We read Animal Farm, The Outsiders, and I think what was really interesting was it wasn't just regular stories that this happened and this happened, but the stories started to symbolize things.
Mhm.
So like Animal Farm, you have all these different animals talking, but the story isn't about just animals. Like it's making a commentary about other things that were happening in the world at that time. So I started to really appreciate like symbolism and metaphors and like the meaning behind stuff, and I had really good teachers that helped me be able to express my opinions better, I thought. So I really liked those classes.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite school memory?
Favorite school memory. Trying to think of my favorite school memory. Let's see. A lot of school memories. There's a lot of memories. I remember a lot of bad stuff all of a sudden. Like all the times I've gotten in trouble. But a favorite school memory, I think. Okay, so in high school, I was in band, so that was really fun. And one of the cool things that would happen at a tradition they used to have, I don't think they do it anymore, but if the band got a perfect score during different competitions in the spring and in the fall and the spring, they would plan a lock-in for all the students. So we would stay through the whole night in the high school, and we would watch movies, eat ice cream like at 2 a.m, do all these crazy things.
What?
But you didn't know that?
No.
It was really fun. And I remember going to the lock-in. It was so much fun because we would play games and stuff. But one of my favorite things that we did was it was the famous scavenger hunt. And so we would break off into teams of like 4 or 5, and we would get different clues. And so Miss Kelfasha would give us different clues, and so we would have to run around the whole school building trying to find where the clues take us and try to find the next clue. And then the first person to make it to the end with the right code word would win, and they would all win a prize. And also we would race across the hallways on blankets.
Oh.
And so a person would get on the blanket, and then the rest of the team would have to pull the blanket. We would have to see who would be the first person to make it from one end of the school to the other end of the school. So yeah, that was a good memory. I really had a lot of fun.
Wow. What were your grades like?
My grades. So Mom and Dad always encouraged me to do my best. And so I always got really solid grades. In elementary school, I didn't really realize how competitive people were with grades. So I always just did my best and had fun. So I probably got A's and B's, I think, in elementary school. But in 5th grade, especially in middle school, something clicked, and I realized that that you could do really well with grades, and like sometimes they would do prizes or like pizza parties and stuff like that. But especially in high school, I realized how important good grades were and stuff. And I liked getting good grades. I was really thankful to have a lot of support from mom and dad, and they encouraged me to do my best, and um I was pretty smart, and so I always got A's after that. So and I graduated at the top of my class because of all of those things, and so I'm really thankful with the support of mom and dad, and I'm also very thankful with God who gives knowledge and wisdom.
So that's all the questions. Thank you for being here.
And Sharon. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. These questions really made me think. I haven't thought about some of this stuff in a while, and so it was good to reminisce and have a little bit of that nostalgia. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for tuning in.